Hey everybody, it is Friday, November 1st, the day after Halloween, and I need to begin this video with my apologies, as Alex DeLarge from A Clockwork Orange would refer to them. I promised that I was going to make a Halloween-themed movie review video where I picked out a bunch of movies from my collection that wouldn't normally be something that you would go to on Halloween, but that I think are perfect Halloween viewing. It just didn't happen, but I'm going to make it up. I'm going to make it up to the people who were anticipating that. So I'm going to talk about the films individually in the next few videos that I put out. So I think I pulled 6 or 7 different films that I wanted to discuss in one video. Now they're going to be, parsed out to the next 6 or 7 videos. I'll either tack the review on to the end, or I'll just make a video that's exclusively devoted to talking about that film. Now, what should you eat while viewing these unconventional movies that I picked out of my collection? Well, let's see if this is an appropriate snack to accompany the films. All right, so this was one that I was considering including when I did my International Lay's video. So I tried... in a recent video, I tried 3 different types of international Lay's flavors. 2 of them were from Thailand and 1 of them was from China. This is a South Korean popcorn, but it's not Lay's, so I didn't think it would be appropriate to include it in that video. But hey, why not kick off my movie review segments by sampling this? I love it too. It says, I think this is South Korean, I think. Yes, product of South Korea. I am not going to go through the trouble of reading all the ingredients in this because there is a crap ton of stuff in this. A crap ton of stuff. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to evaluate its spiciness. I'm going to evaluate its deliciousness. And I'm going to evaluate its appropriateness as an accompaniment to the film that I'm going to be talking about later in this video. All right, so cinema popcorn. Not hot and spicy, just hot spicy. And it's artificially hot chicken flavor. So I'm confused about the wording here. I understand there are problems with translation, especially when it's, you're talking about a language that's as different from English as Korean is from English. But that is confusing. I mean, I'm not sure what that means. Artificially hot chicken flavored? So does that mean that... I don't know how something can be artificially hot. Does it just mean that the heat from it doesn't come from pepper? I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't know what artificially hot means. Or do they mean that the chicken flavoring in the popcorn is artificial? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to take the time to read through the entire ingredients list. I've already wasted 3 minutes talking about this, so let's get going. It does not smell like chicken, and it doesn't smell like spice. Wow. Now look at this. You wouldn't think, looking at these, that they would be particularly flavorful, but they are. Like, they don't look like they're very amply seasoned. And I've said it many times, whenever I review a salty snack on this channel, what I'm looking for is chips and popcorn and crackers that are absolutely saturated in the seasoning blend. These don't appear to be, but they got lots of flavor. It kind of tastes like, chicken ramen, chicken flavored ramen, with a little bit more sugar thrown in. It's kind of sweet. Heat level's a 2. So it's not like super spicy or anything like that. But you can get a good burn going if you ate the entire thing. I like it. Artificial chicken flavor, artificial heat, or not. This is a very enjoyable snack. It's addictive. You can see I can't stop eating it. But I'm going to have to force myself to stop eating it because I have a movie to review. All right. Wow. Okay. One more. Man, what is it about South Korean spicy snacks. I mean, they just know how to rope you in. I could literally, it would be so easy to just eat this entire thing. So easy. I love it. That's an 8.5 for flavor. I freaking love that. I love it. I don't even like popcorn that much. I love that. And even though it says that it's artificially flavored, it tastes authentic to me. And it has respectable heat, about 2. Yeah, wow, what a great snack. Now, the issue here is if you're intrigued by this and you want to have it, it might be kind of difficult to get your hands on. Because I got it at a World Market. I have never seen it before. And I go to World Market all the time. I probably go like once or twice a month. I have never seen this before. This was a new item. And it's literally the only place in Tacoma that I have seen this. So it's not readily available. But if you're determined enough to taste its deliciousness and experience what I just experienced, you should be able to track it down. It just might take a little bit of time. Okay. Let me just pause here for a second. All right. So as promised, I'm going to go through each of the films that I picked out for my pre-Halloween video, which ended up not coming to fruition. Let's talk about... Oh, crap. That was supposed to be a lot more dramatic, but I'm a little bit incompetent. Let's talk about Combat Shock. Okay. Now, it does have the Troma label there. Troma is the company that produced Toxic Avenger, but I think they just distributed this. I don't think they actually... This is not actually a Troma film. So you're not going to get that, kind of like goofy, sleazy, gory vibe that you get. Well, it is gory, but you're not going to get the goofiness and the sleaziness that you get from a typical Troma movie. I think this was just like distributed by Troma. All right, so Combat Shock. This is my best description of it. So I tend to do this when I'm trying to describe movies to somebody who's unfamiliar. I try to just find, what are they analogous to? What other movies can you compare them to? And I'm going to actually compare this to a movie and to a song. So what this is like is a less surreal and lower budgeted version of David Lynch's Eraserhead, combined with the narrative of the famously lengthy and disturbing song by the no-wave band Suicide named Frankie Teardrop. And if you're not familiar with it, so Suicide made a self-titled debut album in 1977. And most of it is this kind of like eerie, like kind of ghostly, haunting, very minimal synth pop. But then there's a song towards the end that's kind of like proto-industrial and long and noisy and weird and disturbing and dissonant. And it's called Frankie Teardrop. It's about 10 minutes long. And it's a narrative song, so there's not actually any singing in it. There is a spoken word narrative about urban decay and desperation. So it tells the tale of Frankie, who lives in a cramped and squalid apartment with his wife and newborn child, and he works at a local factory, doesn't make enough to pay the bills or make ends meet or properly feed his family, and he ends up going nuts, cracking, and, well, you can predict what happens after that. Because if I give away what happens at the end of the song, you might not bother watching the movie, because that's what happens in the movie. So if you're familiar with the song, you already know the ending to this movie. If you're not familiar with the song, hopefully I have intrigued you by talking about that. But yeah, so, and if you're not familiar with Eraserhead, it's also a film that explores urban decay, but it explores it in a very, very, surrealistic way. It's one of the first like underground art house films, art house cult films, I guess you could say. And that was actually 77 as well. It's interesting. Eraserhead and Frankie Teardrop were both produced in the same year, 1977. Now I know David Lynch worked on Eraserhead for like 5 years or something like that. I think he started in the early 70s, but the project was completed in 77, and that was when it went out onto the art house circuit. But anyways, so Eraserhead tells the story of an unnamed man. I think he's just called like Mr. X, and he accidentally impregnates his girlfriend, and he's stuck at home with a mutated baby. And they don't give any explanation for the mutation of the baby in Eraserhead, but there's also the character in this has a mutated baby with his girlfriend as well, but I believe it's attributed to Agent Orange poisoning, because the Frankie Teardrop type character in Combat Shock is a Vietnam vet. All right, and he is absolutely destitute. He's unemployed. He lives in he lives in an awful, dangerous part of town with drug dealers and thugs everywhere. He lives in a very cramped apartment with a wife who hates him and a mutated baby. And it's attributed to Agent Orange poisoning because he was in Vietnam and he passed on the Agent Orange poisoning onto his son. Or I'm not even sure if it's a son or a daughter. It's a creature. Now, the makeup effects of the mutant baby in Combat Shock are not as good as the ones that David Lynch produced for Eraserhead, but they are good, considering that this is an extremely low-budget independent picture. But yeah, what you get here is, so it starts with a very graphic Vietnam flashback, where it shows that what this character experienced, what he was traumatized by, and why he currently has PTSD. So he witnessed, they graphically depict his war buddies being, dismembered and, being blown to bits and all this, stepping on mines, that kind of thing. And he feels guilty. So not only does he feel PTSD, not only does he's experiencing PTSD because of the extremity of what he witnessed, but he's also feeling guilt because he was in a position where he could have saved his war buddies and wasn't able to do it. All right? So he's depressed. He's experiencing PTSD. He's unemployed. He has a diseased, mutated baby at home that screams and cries day and night. He's not able to provide for his wife or the child because he's not working. So it's a lot of the movie is just him like wandering around, standing in unemployment lines, and then occasionally encounters these drug dealing thugs that he owes money to, and they bully him and beat him up and threaten him. And it's just like an increasingly it's an unnamed city that he's wandering around, but it's like absolute urban decay. It's a very gritty and unsightly film. It's ugly to look at, but that's the point of it. So it's gritty, it's grimy, lots of urban decay, and there's like one song on the soundtrack. It's like this instrumental synth pop song, and it just plays endlessly through the entire movie, which you would think would be irritating, but it's actually kind of, you actually kind of like come to really relate to that. I mean, it's almost kind of brilliant in the way that they use the song over and over and over again, because it kind of suggests like the absolute like dreary repetition of this dude's life, right? So they just have him like walking down some like trash infested street, just like walking around. He just wanders around a lot of the time. Sometimes he stands in unemployment lines, but a lot of time he's just wandering around because he doesn't want to be at the apartment with his wife and kid, and because he feels ashamed of himself, so he just wants to be alone and not have to deal with the shaming and guilting that his girlfriend or wife or whatever she is would unleash on him if he were to be there. So it kind of progresses, and the character, as the movie goes on, just becomes increasingly more desperate, increasingly more hopeless. The threats and potential violence towards him, those threats increase as the movie goes on, and eventually he snaps, as you can probably predict. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but it's a pretty riveting for an ultra low budget movie by a completely unknown director with a completely unknown cast. It's a pretty riveting movie. It's very well done. It's gritty. It's very enjoyable, and it's not too long either. I think it's like, what is it, 80 minutes or something like that, and this is the director's cut, so there may be an even shorter version, but goes by quickly. It's well done. Looks cool. It's got a very that nice gritty, grimy late '70s exploitation atmosphere. It's a good movie, and there's some really good special effects in it too. When it comes, the gore is well done. The mutant baby is well done. Like I said, not as convincing as Lynch's mutant baby, but it's respectable. It's good makeup effects for what it is. So I wholeheartedly recommend it. I would give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. It's fun. It's kind of it's bleak. It's bleak. So if you're looking for something that's going to put you in a good mood, do not watch this. It is bleak and destitute and nihilistic and misanthropic. All right. So it's not a feel good movie. It's a feel bad movie, but for what it is, it's very well done. And I wholeheartedly recommend it. And it is a horror movie. Some would say it's an action, a thriller, an action thriller, a thriller drama, whatever. It's a horror movie. All right. There's a lot of horrific imagery in it. It's about haunted people living in a desperate, horrible situation. It's a horror film. All right, check it out.